Hi and welcome to this series where I go through the ITIL4 practices individually and I give you the headline main points you need to be aware of in order to support your base knowledge around ITIL4. I also discuss some of my real world experience and application of the various practices based on the organisations I've worked in. Don't forget to subscribe, click the channel, click the bell, get those updates. Okay, so let's get to it. Today I'm just going to cover off service request management. So the service request management practice is from the service management practice. Reminder, there's three practices: general management practice, service management practice, and technical management practice. Service request management sits firmly in the service management practice. A reminder, what's a practice? It's a set of organisational resources designed for performing work or for accomplishing an objective. So, service request management. Purpose of service request management as per ITIL4 is to support the agreed quality of a service by handling all predefined user-initiated service requests in an effective and a user-friendly manner. So read CX in there. What's a service request? A definition of a service request: it's a request from a user or somebody who's authorized to request a service or an action which has been agreed as part of the normal day-to-day service delivery. Typically, a service request will sit in one of these areas, so it will be an action of some kind of service delivery action. So can I have a report, or the printer down the end of the corridor's run out of toner, we need a new toner cartridge. Can we either get hold of a new toner, or can you replace that toner for us, depending on how your support model is set up? It can sometimes just be an RFI, it can be a request for information. So somebody just asking a question: how do I, or can you tell me how to open this, or close this, or update this, or create a document, or can be access to a building as well. So, you know, what if I need to get into a regional office? What are the hours that are open for the office in Paris or Munich or wherever it may be? But typically a how-to or can I type of request. Provision of resources or provision of services. So typically you'll see requests for laptops, for desktops, phones. Perhaps that's a mobile phone, or perhaps that's a desk phone, or maybe even a soft phone. Or maybe it's something more technical. Maybe somebody from your dev team is saying, are you able to spin up a new environment for us, a virtual server? We need to do some dev and some test activities. Or maybe it's a security access. Now, just a note of caution here that it's really important to make sure you've got a proper authorization process here, an approval process. But you may have somebody saying, I need to access this particular folder or this particular file. Clearly, any kind of security access or permissions access, or providing access to a directory or to a system or whatever it may be, you must have a level of security in there. There needs to be an approval process. You don't want people just suddenly accessing or getting access to information, and then the audit trail follows it through as how come you actually got access to that, and then the statement coming out, well, I just phoned the service desk up and said, can you give me access to this folder called payroll, and they did. That's not good. Feedbacks, compliments, complaints, unfortunately, those also fit into the service request bucket. Clearly, you want lots of compliments and not so many complaints in the ideal world. Also, in the service request management, there's interfaces there. So we might look at change, for example. So it's not unusual for a change, particularly a standard change request. Quick refresher: you've got normal, standard, and emergency changes. it's not unusual for standard changes to have their source coming from a service request management background. Typically, the reason there being service requests are predefined, they're pre-agreed. So notice that terminology there, that aligns to standard change requests in the change management and the change enablement practice. Regardless of how complex things are, typically the service request, in order to fulfill a service request, it's usually well known, it's already been proven, it's a repetitive activity. So asking for a new piece of equipment, for example, a new laptop or a new phone. These are prime areas to really adopt some of the ITIL4 guiding principles around automation and optimization. It's one of those 7 guiding principles within ITIL4. Automate where you can, look for optimization opportunities. Service request management, in my experience, has been one of these really great areas that if you get it right, you can save a huge amount of time, really improve that customer experience. And in some cases, you can go from end to end completely automated. I mentioned about somebody accessing or wanting access to a folder or a file, and I sort of jokingly said around, can I have access to the payroll folder? It's really important service requests are thought through in terms of authorization. So there may be a financial element, there may be a security element, there may be a compliance or a regulatory requirement there that you need to just make sure that those are in check, and that your automation and your optimization activity aren't suddenly opening up. Well, yes, we're just suddenly giving people loads of access to financial information, or I don't know, Sarbanes-Oxley information, or PCI stuff, or whatever it may be. We really need to think through. While it's good to standardize and automate these areas as much as possible, that is a must. You really have to take special care around the authorization piece. In some cases, there's going to be service requests that can just go through and can be fulfilled with limited or in some cases no approval needed whatsoever. Those are really good for streamlining. Expectations is another important point around service requests. If somebody's asking for something, you need to set some kind of expectation as to when will you get that. So a very basic sense, if somebody comes into your organisation and says, I need a laptop, and let's assume it's approved and it's all okay, that person needs to know, well, how long is that going to take? Is that will I have it in 24 hours? Will I have it in 5 days? Make sure that those expectations are clearly set, and more importantly, realistically as to what you can actually deliver. So perhaps in a monthly service review report or meeting, you might discuss things around volumes and types and cost associated with the service request, but you may want to think through your delivery of an SLA there, as to, are you saying any pre-agreed, pre-approved devices, say a laptop for the sake of argument, will be with the user within 5 working days, as an example. So just make sure you've got some kind of metric there that measures the fulfillment that you can realistically deliver. Clearly, when we talk about metrics, you need to be thinking about business outcomes here. What is the expectation from the business against that realistic element of what can you deliver? I'll just reiterate the automation point here, because I think it's really important. This area is a really important area to look for ways of automation and optimization opportunities. I've worked in many organizations where I've put activities in place here that has saved a huge amount of time and a huge amount of effort and money as well. Just really kind of emphasize, go back to this guiding principle around automation and optimization. Finally, if we just close with the service value chain, reminder, part of the service value system. You've got your guiding principles, your governance, your service value chain right in the middle. You've got your 34 practices, and you've got your continual improvement. All of those going into value. Service value chain has a number of activities in there, and I always remember them as PIDOD: plan, improve, engage, design and transition, obtain and build, deliver and support. Those will deliver your products, those will deliver your services, which in turn provides that value point. In terms of service request management, the key areas that this practice is involved in is the engage and the deliver and support. So when we talk about engage, think through there's communication, the customer's coming to you to say I need something. There's that engagement conversation. Regular communication in terms of what are the requirements, what do they need, setting expectations. Again, is this a 1 dayer or is this a 5 dayer or is it a month? Set those expectations and then keep people updated as you're going through that as to the progress of their request. That's it for service request management. Please subscribe, hit the bell, and you'll continue to get the updates. Thank you.